will be able to, and will be able to be found on Lunenburg Access YouTube channel after the meeting. The following information is also provided for members of the public that would like to view the meeting remotely from your computer, your Zoom, via the Zoom link there. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting law. Let's call the meeting to order. Any public comment from committee members? All right, how about the public?
Sue, did you want to bring up the concern with the minute?
I'll bring it up when the minutes come up.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of March 2nd, 2022.
Wait, before that, please. The minutes that you received are missing one section. I realized today when I was reviewing the SAP, the new document, that we discussed section 17. We voted on section 17 and there were no issues with section 17, but for some reason I dropped it off of my minutes and I started with section 18. I just missed it. I apologize. I'll add it to this week's minutes, the notes from that. So it'll be an amendment on the next minutes. It just starts with the wrong section.
Okay. So I'll second Joanna's motion to accept the minutes.
As amended with adding section 17 in the next set of minutes. Is that correct, Sue?
Yes.
Perfect.
All in favor, Joanna,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
and Donna, do you kind of abstain from this because you weren't there, or
Yep, I'm
All right.
abstaining.
Eric's and I? All right. So the next thing on the agenda is our ongoing business of the discussing, well, here's a question for you. We got a copy from Julie of the kind of updated version of the SAP based on votes we had taken and additions. I think I might have seen maybe a couple things that were maybe slightly different than what I remember, but are we, is that the third bullet down there, or is that something we should discuss before we get into the salary stuff?
That is the first bullet. The second and third should be new business, really. Second and third bullet in new business.
All right, so if we could take a look at the document, the SAP revision 3822. And
The two things that I had outstanding, I have answers for.
all right, what were those your comments?
Yes.
All right.
So it were the examples in section 16 under hours of work, non-exempt. It's not, yeah, hours of work. So it's my page 7. We had a question to see if we could ask town council if we could remove the Roman numerals 1, 2, and 3, the examples.
Yep,
And the answer is yes. So I can delete those. And the other one that Joanna also picked up on was adding in first 3 dates for new hires. And Heather spoke with our rep from Munis, and yes, you can have 2 different dates in Munis when entering a pay rate. So if you enter a pay rate on July 1st, and then you enter one on anniversary date, both of those dates can be reflected according to Munis.
And then we had section 9 layoffs with the seniority question that I don't think we had covered.
I think you're right. I didn't recall. I remember having conversation about it. I don't remember what
Yeah, we put it on hold
the outcome was. Yeah.
and we
So,
never went back to it. So we've got section 9 and section 11 from my recollection.
yeah.
All right, why don't we, Barb?
Yeah, is it possible to send Nancy and I think that's Case, a copy of the SAP that you guys are looking at for the purposes of this meeting? We didn't get that. Hello?
Is that something you can send them, Julie?
Yep, working on it.
Okay,
I can actually screen share. That makes it easier.
Oh, well, I'd like
Because
to
we're gonna
have it.
want to do the same with the grid too.
So can you send it to us so we have it, so we can be looking at what you're looking at?
I'm working on it.
Thank you.
well, when we deal with the, is there any discussion amongst the committee members about the deleting the examples? Are you okay to take a vote on that?
What section is that, Eric?
It's on bottom of page 6, top of page 7. So it's section 16, hours of work. And there's 3 Roman numerals that
Right.
basically have examples. And essentially, we feel we don't need those examples there. Any questions about that before we take a vote? All right, so all in favor of deleting the 3 Roman numeral examples from section 16, hours of work? Sue?
I agree. Yep.
Wendy?
Who seconded that? I didn't hear it. I didn't hear what your second was.
Yeah.
I'll second the motion. This is
Thanks,
Wendy,
Yeah.
and it's an aye for me.
Donna?
Aye.
Joanna?
I,
Eric's and I. All right, so those 3 examples will be deleted from section 16. And then this would be section 11. New personnel. And this, I guess I would make a motion to accept what's in the comment there on page 6. Well, actually, it's page 5. Page 5 in the most recent version, at the bottom of page 5, where we would be adding, there is a kind of section 11 part A, section 11 part B. So this would be to add a section 11 part C. And the wording is, this is the addition effective July 1st, 2022 for new regular full-time and new regular part-time personnel. Eligibility for a step increase will be on the anniversary date of employment.
I'll
Yeah.
second, I'll second it for discussion, Eric.
Okay, thank you. Nancy?
I think that something else should be added in there as far as reclassified employees, when they would receive a step date, a step increase? Would it be on their reclass date or their original step date? It'd be good to have that in there to clarify when they get it. If an employee is reclassified to a different grade.
Yeah. Well, they're not a new hire, right?
No, but there's nothing in the SAP that states when they would get a step date. So would they get it on their original step date or would they get it on their reclass date? I just think it needs to be stated. It doesn't matter to me which way it goes, just should be stated. It's come up.
Wouldn't that belong in the section before that?
I don't know. I don't have a copy of that, the new one. So
Transfers and promotions. So it's an existing employee that gets promoted. So in section 10, that's what we cover.
No,
just an idea. I mean, it's come up in the past and there's been discussion on it, so I thought it would be good to have it.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Isn't it covered under the section previous, Eric? 10?
Transfers and promotions.
Eric, can you
So if a
just
person gets
zoom that
promoted?
a little bit?
Yeah.
Sorry, Sue. I can't quite see it.
It doesn't say when the step increase would occur for a reclassified employee.
On the bottom, Eric. See on the, yeah, right in there. Thank you.
would we want to address that under section 5, classification of employees?
Good. That's this is specific to reclassifications. Is that right, Nancy?
Yes, that was my question.
Yeah.
Just when would the step date be?
Well, I guess if someone just gets, so just to be clear here, if someone, let's say someone's position's at a step or a when you talk about reclassification, is that referring to grade? Not really step, is it? Is it referring to grade?
It could be grade when their position is reclassified, such as what happened with the Council on Aging Director a few years back. She was moved to a higher grade.
Yeah.
Did her review date change, her step date?
Well, according to Karen Brochu, past practice was to have it on the reclass date, but there was some discussion as to why it wouldn't be on her original step. So it's just to clarify it.
Yeah,
guess
I would.
Yeah, go ahead, Julie.
I was just gonna say, I would say, I think historically, that anytime somebody gets a promotion, that it would be 1 year from that date, not from original hire date or from when their last step was, when you receive a significant change. So in this case, she moved to a new grade. I would say that her step date would have changed to when she received that promotion.
Correct, I would
And
agree.
it
but
doesn't say it, so, yeah. So if we want to put it in black and white to make it clear, I think is what Nancy's asking.
Yeah. So how about we add maybe add a sentence after right here after the salary administration plan period, and it would say what would the how are we phrasing this? This is the, oh, let me go back here. So basically eligibility for a step increase for employees that have been reclassified will be on the reclassification date, 1 year from the reclassification date.
Or just stating when their step increase would happen, would be 1 year from their new step date would be their reclassification date or something to that effect.
So I have right now eligibility for step increase of a reclassified employee will be granted 1 year from the date of reclassification.
And so that effectively changes the cadence of their increases. Is that right? Changes it to their reclassification date?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think the thinking is if someone just got reclassified, it's likely they got a raise. So the next time, rather than, let's say, a month from then getting another raise, it would be a year from then. If a month from then was their anniversary.
I think the only thing it says if it's reclass to another job group, either higher or lower. If it's lower, I mean, I guess they're not taking a pay cut anyways, right?
I would think that'd be unusual.
Yeah. I think it does address it somewhere else saying that they'd stay at their rate if it was outside of the range that they were put into.
It is somewhere else.
Okay.
All right, well, I make a motion that we add the language to section 5, reclassification of employees that Julie just read on setting the eligibility for a step increase to 1 year from the reclassification date.
Okay,
second.
I second.
All in favor, Joanna?
I have my hand raised. Do
Okay.
So I'd like to have discussion, as I said. Because when we had this topic earlier, none of us do payroll for the town of Lunenburg. Nancy does. So, and through you, Mr. Chair, I really want to know for Nancy, who's been doing the job for I don't know how many years, what is the most efficient productivity wise way to do what we're trying to do with raises in the munis system that we're working with today.
Well, as far as I knew, it could only, the software could only do salary projections on a July 1st step date. Heather says that it can be done, so I will check with her tomorrow on that procedure because I couldn't find it anywhere.
So, Mr. Chair, through you, can I ask Nancy a follow-up question?
Yep.
So Nancy, so if in fact munis can do it both ways, does that make you okay and comfortable and productivity wise, that's the best way to go in your guesstimate?
Yep, if the software can do it.
Okay. Perfect. Then I support the motion.
Okay, Sue,
Aye.
Donna,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Erickson, I. Okay.
Joanna, do you still have a question or you just didn't put your hand down?
I didn't put my hand down yet, Donna. I was writing something.
Okay.
I'll get it down.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so those are those two items. Julie, I feel like you I feel like you mentioned a third one, which I'm forgetting now.
Section 9. Layoffs. It was, I believe it used to say seniority, and we're going to remove the seniority piece of that.
Well, I think the attorney's suggestion in his original document was to delete the whole thing. And we do, I did write down that we passed over that to come back to. And I'm trying to find what his reasoning was for deleting it all. There you go. So he recommended deleting it or consider deleting it in its entirety or replacing it with a layoff procedure that provides for the discretion of the town manager to consider factors other than seniority. This assumes that there are multiple positions in the same classification. If not, the consideration of seniority is irrelevant and not worth the unnecessary concern such a change would cause. I mean, I'm okay with just leaving this as is and not deleting it. I don't think it, from what I've heard, I don't know that there is a single example of multiple people in the same position. So doesn't seem likely to come up, but it also seems like, you know, employees of the SAP may appreciate seniority being considered if it ever should come up. Barb?
I'll just speak up on that behalf. Yes, thank you very much. We would appreciate that seniority would be considered should there be a layoff. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this? All right.
Yeah, I feel seniority should be a candidate if someone was hired, you know, a year ago, and now we're laying someone off in another department that's been there for 25 years. I would think that person of the 25 years of loyalty to the town would have preference of losing her job versus the person that started a year ago, whether it was that they were the clerk for the assessor or they were the town clerk's assistant, that they would have that availability if due to funding or whatnot, we were eliminating that position.
All right, I'll say, I think there's consensus just to leave as is. In section 11, I think this is just like a typo, but in part A, it says the hiring rate shall be the minimum of the rate range of the job for which the new employee is hired, unless otherwise authorized by the Personnel Committee, period. The town manager determines paying the employee at a higher step as necessary. So this is where, like this, it doesn't make sense as it's written. In my notes here, I did have that. Well, in my notes, I have something that doesn't really make sense to me either. So I think we just need to fix this.
It is on the attorney's number 5. So maybe that's wrong. Let me see. I just want to see if it's the same.
Yeah, well, I mean, the suggested change was that we cross out otherwise or delete otherwise authorized by the Personnel Committee, which it doesn't really make sense to me why we would delete that, because that's kind of our whole purpose, right? That if the minimum rate of a job for which a new employee is hired, or it says the hiring rate shall be the minimum of the rate unless otherwise authorized by the Personnel Committee. And his suggestion is basically say, unless the town manager determines paying the employee at a higher step is necessary. So I don't know, maybe that makes, I guess that's, if I'm reading this correctly, Julie, this is kind of what happens now, right? When you guys want to hire someone and you determine, or Heather determines that paying the employee at a higher step is necessary due to their qualifications and experience, that's when you bring it to us and ask for our approval, right?
Exactly.
When I first looked at that and they're, deleting or suggested deleting otherwise authorized by the personnel committee, it didn't make sense to me because that's what we do. We authorize or don't authorize these things, but we do it after we have a recommendation from the town manager. So
I guess I'm not seeing where it says to delete that from his recommendation.
It
This
did
was-
say it in his original document.
yeah,
So where it says revising the paragraph to read at the hiring rate shall be, oh wait, the minimum rate range, the drop of which, oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, I mean,
so I think this needs to be deleted and, just put a lowercase t there. So it would read, the hiring rate should be the minimum of the rate range of the job for which the new employee is hired, unless the town manager determines paying the employee at a higher step is necessary due to the employee's qualifications and experience or marketing conditions.
Doesn't the personnel committee need to authorize that?
Yeah, we do.
so you gotta leave that in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That needs to stay.
Yeah,
Or it needs to
Otherwise-
move somewhere else in the paragraph, but
Well, I mean, that,
Eric, this is the revised, this is the one I just sent out.
yeah,
Okay, thank you. I didn't print that one. So we didn't discuss leaving. Hold on, let me go through my papers here.
I mean, I don't care if that stays in there, but it just doesn't make sense how it's written right now.
Yeah,
I
and
agree with, yeah, I agree with you, but I think maybe we remove it. So that it's consistent with what actually happens, which is that the town manager makes a determination, brings it to the personnel committee, and then we authorize it.
Yeah, I wonder if that says that anywhere else. I mean, that's kind of one of the main things we do.
Maybe rewording it. So it'll start the same, the hiring rate shall be the minimum of the rate range of the job for which the new employee is hired. Unless the town manager determines paying the employee at a higher blah. And then at the end of that sentence, throwing in something to the effect of which will be authorized by the personnel committee, something to that effect.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, we authorize all hires, right? And whatever they're,
Well, paid above step one. Starting at step 2 or higher, yes.
we don't
Yeah.
authorize anything at step 1.
No.
How come?
because that's the beginning of the range. There's no need to have authorization when they're starting at the bottom of the grade.
Oh, so if someone, let's say it's a grade 15, step 1, we don't authorize that?
No,
All right, so if they always start at the bottom of whatever grade they're at, whatever grade the position is, we don't vote on that.
correct. And that is in here somewhere.
All right,
So
So
do you
what
mind
the
if I share
word-
my screen so I can make the changes at the same time? Or we're
Yeah.
viewing it, is that okay? Thanks. You can see my screen?
Yeah,
It does say right there, the hiring rate shall be the minimum of the rate range. Unless,
what if it said unless the town manager recommends paying the employee at a higher step is necessary due to the employee's qualifications and experience or marketing conditions, period. The personnel committee shall authorize something.
I mean, I think the other part that's not true is department heads don't really notify the town manager of hiring of all new personnel. Other than public safety, it funnels through my office or her office.
I would suggest adding this sentence after marketing conditions. You know, just adding a sentence that basically yeah. Personnel committee would have to approve any such recommendations, something like that.
Does that work?
I think so.
Maybe I should
Eric.
say,
Sorry.
Barb,
It just says personnel committee shall approve recommendation. It doesn't give you the option of saying no. It's just shall review or whatever. That's just a point.
yeah, I mean, the language could be the personnel committee would have to approve recommendations above step 1 or
or we don't hire the person.
I mean, shall implies we're gonna approve it no matter what. And I think that's what Barb is saying, so.
How about must?
shall actually means must in the legal sense.
Personnel committee would have to vote to approve.
Well, I mean, let's think about what we're trying to say. So you have to, the personnel committee has to approve any starting rate above step one.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you
If you-
said the personnel committee would have to give approval for any recommendations above step one. I think that's clear. It doesn't say we're going to, it just says that we would have to.
Say that again.
Personnel
committee.
committee would have to approve
Any recommendation above step one.
yeah.
Eric, would you be okay with changing would have to must?
Yeah, I mean,
Better rather than would have to.
every time I think it sounds right, then I think, well, isn't that just saying that we have to? It almost sounds like you have to do this. You have to approve
I
it.
think,
I know that's
know-
not what. I don't think anyone would really interpret it that way, but
I think shall is used throughout. If you look above, section 10, letter B, shall is there, shall enter. I mean, again, if we don't approve them above a step one, then we either offer them a step one or we don't hire the employee. It's what it is. Either you approve it or you don't.
yeah, I'm good. I'm good with any of those suggestions. I think it's clear what the role of the personnel committee is.
You tell me. I'll type whatever.
I mean, it could say the personnel committee must vote to approve any recommendation above step one.
I like that verbiage personally, but
Any other thoughts before we,
That
Joanna?
sounds good.
I'll wait till this is finished.
All right, so I guess I'll make a motion that we accept the changes as written in section 11, part A.
Second, but I have a typo correction. I think employees at the end of that, it's sort of underlined in blue. That needs to have an apostrophe S.
Yeah, I know that.
All right, all in favor, Joanna?
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Wendy,
I,
Donna,
Aye.
Eric's and I. Okay, it's done. Go ahead, Joanna.
Yeah, I'm sorry, because I don't know what happened to us being on number 9. And how we went from 9 to 11. I made a sentence about seniority and then we went to number 11.
Sentence,
The 2 weeks,
We approved it.
the 2 meeting agos, there was, section 9 had 4 paragraphs with highlights going through all of them. Last week's had no change. It was the one we just have this week. Oh, is Julie trying to talk? Julie, are you talking to us?
No, but somebody said that we approved it. We're all set. We're gonna leave it as is.
When did we vote on the change to remove the 4 paragraphs?
we didn't remove anything.
We did. If you go 3 SAP plans before what we started with, there's 4 paragraphs that are highlighted in purple with red with lines going through them. They updated the last one with the changes that you now see this week.
Can you, Julie, can you scroll back to section 9?
In section 9, I'm looking at, I went and got the two previous SAP plans. And there's a paragraph, seniority shall be the length of employees' continuous service measured. Then there's another paragraph, if 2 or more employees of the same classification have. Another paragraph, for an employee that is established to be laid off shall have the right. And they're not in last week's or this week's. So we never voted to take all the seniority stuff out. That was in there 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right.
That's what I'm saying. And then we went to number 11, so I'm confused. I was confused.
I was under the impression that we were reverting to what it initially said as if no changes were made to it whatsoever. Is that not correct?
That's not correct. We tabled number 9 layoffs.
So we wanted to read, tell me how it's supposed to read, because I have it as if we never made a change to it, as if this was still from before we met the first time. Not what you see on my screen, but what was initially given out before changes were made. This, I don't know if you can see. Oh yeah, you got that. So what I'm looking at starts with layoff procedure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 paragraphs in it. From
And there's
layoff
not-
procedure to recall policy.
So Julie, you're saying you have the original language that has,
Right.
I'm counting 8 paragraphs, but
1,
Maybe.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It says layoff procedure.
I'm looking at one version that starts with layoff procedure, then the next paragraph says seniority in quotes. Then it says if
Yep.
2 or more employees,
Yep,
then it says an employee.
that is
then it-
scheduled.
Yep, and then it says employees who've been laid off.
Yep,
Then it says recall policy,
yep.
and then any employee who is recalled.
Missing employees shall only be eligible for recall from layoff under the terms of this policy for 1 year from the date of the employee's layoff. I have that on this original language.
And then the town will notify an employee?
Yeah.
All right. So that's your understanding of what we voted to keep all that original language, is that right?
Just tonight, correct?
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
okay.
What is,
So does that sound good, Joanna? You're muted.
Sorry, I'm getting a little challenged because I'm trying to get my hand down. So we're going back to the original 3 sessions ago, not the one that's in the book, the SAP that was just sent to us today. Then yes, I'm fine with that. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry for my confusion. I apologize.
Julie, could you go to section 12 grievance procedure? In the second paragraph there. I know we discussed it, but we discussed a lot of things, so I don't know if there was actual agreement on this, but I think we had discussed adding your position of assistant town manager as, for example, like after department head, right? So if the grievance is not resolved by the decision of the department head, the employee, may go to the assistant town manager. And then maybe the town manager is is the final one. Does anyone else remember that discussion? Because when this was written, there wasn't even an assistant town manager.
Right, remember that conversation?
And HR. So we were doing Julie as HR and the assistant, that they could go to her in that HR position.
Employee may, I don't like go to, what's a better word? Employee may,
Seek may,
Escalate. Escalate?
That's a harsh word.
They seek resolution with the assistant town manager.
I think escalate is accurate.
Okay. What are we escalating? Oh. What's my spelling after?
ESCA,
Escalate.
no you.
ESCALUS, isn't it you? ESC, escalate, okay.
I think that's it. Escalate.
Escalate, what are we escalating? Concern,
The
Grievance? Period. Or, comma, or do you want them to go in that order? You're giving them an option, right?
I think I wouldn't put the or. Like the town manager might be the last resort, right? You go from department head to assistant town manager / HR to your final appeal is with the town manager. You know, so maybe it's if unsatisfied, the employee may then file an appeal in writing to the town manager.
Okay, it says within 10 days receipt of the decision. Whose decision? Because that reverts to the department head's decision.
well, we
Within
need
10
to,
days of their most recent decision.
right, because you would have, Julie would have a time frame, and then to give your decision, and then if they weren't happy with the HR assistant town manager decision, they would go to the town manager and then have 10 days of her decision, if that makes sense.
Any other discussion of that change?
Well, if, you know, Eric, while we have this one up, I'm still, if the department head has a grievance, as I use the example of the holidays, that they felt they should have got paid for Christmas, and the town manager said, no, they didn't get paid for Christmas. Their avenue is to go out and hire a labor lawyer that will write to us, and I feel that they should be able to come to the SAB. And I get that, I didn't vote my way, but, and I don't want to feel that the committee, I'm going behind the committee's back in any way, shape or form. But I would be looking either here or at town meeting floor to amend that the town manager has that the town manager's decision shall be final and binding. Because before anything's final and binding that will cost the town or the department head money, I would want the SAP to be able to just weigh in on that. And I feel very strong on that. So either way, because I don't want you to think that you didn't vote my way and I'm upset about it, but there's no recall for that department head, except hiring a lawyer, which is then going to cost the town to hire a lawyer. And as part of the personnel committee, I would want to know that's happening before I'm getting served letters from attorneys. So that's why I feel strong about that last sentence. That's all I had.
I mean, you bring up the department head, but I mean, the department head now can go to the assistant town manager, if not satisfied there, to the town manager. I mean, at the end of the day, town manager's the last person for everyone, right? For any grievance?
Yes, but the department head is the equal to the assistant town manager. That's their peer, human resource director. So they wouldn't go to that would be for people that have a department head they report to. These are department heads that report directly to the town the town manager.
The department head could also come to me as well.
I don't know why, I don't know why they wouldn't be able to. Barb?
Yep, I just weighing in, the last sentence was not put in by Labor Council. That was Heather's submittal. And as you have said, Eric, it's kind of known that the town, if the buck stops here for the town manager, can we just remove that sentence? We all know it's going to end up there, but does it have to be so stated? Even Labor Council didn't have it in there, as far as I could tell from like the
Yeah.
tracking.
That was Mark's recommendation. It says in paragraph B, I recommend including a sentence after the current language that reads, in quotes, the town manager's decision shall be final and binding.
Right. It's in his letter, but every other one of his changes were in red and that was in blue. And I thought that was Heather's ad.
I think because I missed it when I was typing in his changes and she caught
Oh,
it. So
okay.
I'm red. I'm red on behalf of the attorney.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, we did vote on this completely, so Joanna's correct, we voted on it and on the 31st, and the majority agreed to
Absolutely. Yep.
state it the way it's stated now.
Yep.
yeah, I guess I'm missing the point, Joanna, about removing that last sentence, because whether it's there or not, right, the town manager's decision is final. So what's the next step is to get an attorney, right? So what are we trying to prevent by having that last sentence?
And again, what I don't want to take up everybody's time. I'm sorry. What I feel, again, this is not discipline. This is that the employee feels there's a violation of the SAP plan that we, the personnel committee, administer. I get paid for Christmas. It says I get paid for Christmas. The town manager, the buck stops here, says, no, I'm sorry, you don't get paid for working the holiday. I don't agree with that. It doesn't come to the SAP. I would go to a lawyer. The lawyer would weigh in with the town, with the town's attorney, which would cost the taxpayer money. It would cost the employee money. And we, the people who administer this plan, never knew that it was coming. So I feel that I would like to be that, we, the personnel committee, be that last stop before money is financially spent going to lawyers on questions that should have been resolved and possibly could have been resolved with 5 minds weighing in place of one.
I mean, I guess I would say it's not in place of one because it would have to go through at least one other person, if not more, before going to the town manager.
Who's the one other
But
person?
I mean, that's essentially you are, that language would make us the involved in every grievance. That it's not just about a holiday, it could be any grievance on anything, and that you want us to, decide on that, which we've kind of already voted on, but
Yeah, we did. I just didn't want to, I did not want people to think I was being facetious, and I don't know what options this is, for the department head, and again, it's not discipline, it's for the SAP plan. And any violation of what we administer, the personnel committee within the SAP plan.
so your hand's still up, is that just old hand or new?
Oh, it's just an old hand, yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we added the language about assistant town manager / HR director. I would make a motion that we accept that language to section 12 under grievance procedure.
I second that.
All in favor, Sue,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Donna,
Aye.
and Eric's and I. Juliet, I had one other question, which may not need any change, but if you could go to section 18 on paid holidays, or at least it used to be section 18. Yeah, it still is. So I think there's a paragraph missing here. I don't remember taking it out. It was the first paragraph says, under the holidays, says employees who regularly work 40 hours per week and or 5 days per week shall receive paid holiday leave, blah, blah. And then there was a second paragraph that said employees who regularly work less than 40 hours and or 5 days per week shall receive paid holiday leave on the day the town observes the holiday, provided the employee is regularly scheduled to work on the day the town observes. Is that gone now?
I think that's an error. Whoa. She's almost knocked my whole thing over.
We added the sentence there on the floating holiday. I see that there. But I think that second paragraph mistakenly was deleted.
State that again, please. Which paragraph?
It's the, if you look at an older version of the SAP or the current SAP as it is, it's a second paragraph and it begins, employees who regularly work less than 40 hours and or 5 days per week shall receive paid holiday leave on the day the town observes the holiday, provided the employee is regularly scheduled to work on the day the town observes the holiday, based on the hourly rate of the employee for the number of hours the employee is regularly scheduled to work on the day of the week in which the holiday. So basically, it's just saying that part-time employees get paid holidays too if they're scheduled to work on those days. The first paragraph is for full-time employees. The second paragraph was for part-time employees. And I think as it's in this version that we're looking at, the part-time employees are gone from holidays.
Looks like it just got dropped.
Yeah.
It was in the section, yep. Good catch.
Eric, I don't know if you see Nancy has her hand up.
Go ahead, Nancy.
I think the language in the new SAP where it says employees shall receive paid holiday, it encompasses part-time and full-time. But I don't think we need to have provided the employees regularly scheduled to work, because they're gonna get a floating day. But I think where it says employees shall receive paid holiday leave, that's all employees. So why would you differentiate between the part-time and full-time? So I guess that's why it got dropped.
I thought it was going to be a floating holiday that was based on the amount of time they work. So a part-times would be based on their part-time hours, which is that last.
Well, the floating holiday time is, it's calculated down the bottom,
Right. That
So-
last starred one.
right? So does that need to be in there to differentiate between full-time and part-time?
So if I'm hearing you correctly, maybe we can even delete the first paragraph. I think you're saying this employee shall receive paid holiday leave on the day the town observes the holiday, provided the employee is regularly scheduled to work on the day. Like that covers both part-time and full-time.
Right. If they're scheduled to work on that day, they get 8 hours or 6 hours or whatever they're scheduled to work,
Yeah.
and it's full and part-time.
That makes sense to me. Because the other question I had was, it mentions the 40 hours per week. But really, then we define what a full-time employee is, and a full-time employee is anyone who regularly works 36 hours per week. Like, we got rid of the 40 hours, but we still have it there in the paid holidays.
See what I'm sharing now, these were, Joanna, these were your notes from the last meeting regarding this section? Okay, so maybe seeing it with things that we've crossed out will help trigger something. Can you see it okay? Share it this way?
Yeah.
I can't, for some reason, I have a bar in my way here. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so this makes more sense now. Like what you have there is right. I think like Nancy said, the first paragraph on the version we were looking at just has that first paragraph could be deleted. And then I think it's accurate to what you have here.
So Eric, just to be clear, you're recommending we remove this first one, employees, and go right down to the second employee.
So what we're looking at right here that Julie's sharing,
Yes,
if all that red is gone, as
yes.
it's indicating, then that would be accurate, but that's not what's on the,
Plan Julie sent us.
yeah. So, I mean, some of that's there, but there's also the first paragraph that I think needs to go. And then I think it would be accurate. Can you go back to the one where, Julie, the one you sent us? Yeah. Yeah, so if you delete what you just highlighted there, then I think that's accurate to what you have in the other document.
I
makes
wish you
sense,
could
Eric.
see the side by, does that look good?
Yeah,
Thank you, Eric. It makes sense now.
Nancy?
If that section is all set, could we go back to the vacations on the employment termination? I believe it should say, well, accrued, or unused accrued vacation leave.
Yeah, I think we just need to vote on that change if we're good with that, and then we'll go to what you just mentioned.
Okay,
So I guess I would make a motion that we approve the changes as shown in section 18 for paid holidays.
Second,
All in favor, Joanna,
aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Donna,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
and Eric's and I. Okay, so Nancy, I think Julie's there now.
yeah, and just accrued also. Accrued unused.
Shall be paid for all accrued but unused. You don't need that second accrued, do you?
What I have says shall be paid for all accrued but unused vacation leave.
I think it could just say accrued unused vacation leave.
Same difference, whatever you guys want. What I have in here from the last time says be paid for all accrued but unused vacation leave. Whatever.
Yeah, all right. Make a motion that we accept that change to in wording to employment termination in section, I don't know what section that is.
Technically, you already approved it. I just missed it. Mixed
All right.
the correction, so. I don't know if you want to approve it again. Anything else?
I don't think I had, I didn't have anything else that I saw. Any other committee members want to discuss anything from any of these sections? Nancy?
Yeah, just a thought on the sick leave. Get to it, hold on. Actually, it's under the personal leave. If you don't use any sick leave within a 3-month period, will be entitled to 8 additional personal hours. Since we changed personal time to days, are we leaving that for hours, or is that going to be changed to a day also? Section 20.
Days would make sense, I think.
And also in the first paragraph, it has part-time compensation formula still in there.
Be credited at the end of the 6-month period. Look good?
Yep.
Do all personal days have to be used within the same fiscal year?
All personal days, except if they earn that extra day in the last quarter, like April, May, and June, that one day would be able to be used in July, obviously, because you can't use it before you earn it.
I'm sorry, Nancy, can you say that again? So if I have 3 personal days, I have to use them July 1st through June 30th, or I lose them.
Correct, but
Okay.
if you receive an extra personal day under this, where you haven't used any sick time, every quarter you can earn another personal day. So if you don't have sick time in April, May, and June, then that personal day can be carried over to the next fiscal year.
Oh, I see, as the incentive for good attendance. I see, okay.
Right.
perfect. Yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
Just want to remind the committee that Donna has to leave. She notified us ahead of time that she'd have to leave just before 7 o'clock.
Okay, the one thing I had, just back on my highlight was, last meeting, we took out the blue grievance process because the attorney, I don't know if it was the attorney Heather, it's in blue, so I don't know whose color that is anymore, but that the disciplinary policy was in the charter, so we didn't need it here in the SAP plan. And Julie, I sent it to you earlier and I sent it to Eric last week, because I did look up the charter and it did talk about, what the town will do once you terminate it, but it didn't include what the first steps are. For example, that you get a written warning, you get a second offense, a formal written letter. So under the discipline, section 32, the old one that we had, there were 4 steps before that were missed in the charter. The charter went right to after all of that. So I don't know if we still need to encompass that one section, because that's not in the charter. And I don't know if you want to push that out so other people can read the charter. I can forward it to the group, but we can't talk about it. But that, and maybe I'm misreading the charter, and Julie would be better at explaining that I'm wrong and it's right in the charter, which I'm totally okay with. But that was something I had brought up.
Julie, do you know anything about that?
Are you able to see what I'm sharing?
Oh, yep.
Okay. I haven't looked into it. But if this is a copy and paste. It's in the charter. I don't think we need to spell it out in our bylaw.
In the charter, this is what's in the charter, and that goes to removal and suspension. So I've already been spoken to. I got put on verbal warning written, I'm assuming. That's not included in the charter. Do you see what I'm saying, Julie?
I will have to look into this further.
I mean, I see what you're saying, Joanne. I mean, the one that was in the personnel or the SAP plan is is much more specific about giving some examples of disciplinary actions and the steps that would be taken.
Right, so as a department head, I know if someone's been tardy 4 times, these are the steps I have to start before I get to what the charter discusses in removal and suspension. Because we want to make sure we're consistent with, discipline. So, but that's where we lost this front page of steps, the steps 1 through 4 that I would have to take before I can go to removal and suspension.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem to be really totally different in that this is, it's giving the original SAP plan. It basically says, here's what could lead to your immediate termination. And then the charter kind of says how that termination is going to happen. So it does seem like they're kind of different, that this is, the SAP is the first part and the charter is kind of the second part.
Right, that was my interpretation. So we'll back burner that one if we could, please.
What are you, just so I'm clear, what are we looking to do with this language from the charter? You wanted to add it to the
No,
bylaw?
I think
Eric.
Joanna's just saying we need to reinstate section 27 as it originally was in the SAP, because it's not what's in the SAP, what was in the SAP is not in the charter. And I think we just kind of took the recommendation at face value that it was already in the charter, so you don't need it, but it's different.
Yeah, let me, I'll talk to Heather too and see if she has any insight on it.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that.
All right, well, before let's take a vote. So we're going to come back to the, section 27 at the next meeting, that well, possibly restating that, but I think we do need to vote on the changes we just made to I forget what section it was now.
The layoff was 9. Is that what we're talking about?
No, was it sick leave? No, personal leave. the out, getting rid of the hours, putting days.
Personal leave, yeah, okay, hold on. Let me get back there. Oh, what happened? Oh, no.
I think Sue is
Maybe
talking,
there.
but we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Okay, last time we voted, we said that we should change those particular from hours to days on several items, and this is one of them. I think we just missed this particular paragraph, so we did already vote on it to change it from hours to days.
Section 20.
Yep. Because we changed it
Yeah.
in 17 and we changed it in someplace else. I forget which one.
Yeah.
I think we just missed 20. That it also had it in there.
All right. So maybe we don't need to vote again because this is just.
I don't
fine.
think we need to vote again.
I'm good with that.
It's kind of
agree.
an edit.
Yeah, I agree. It was voted last week. We just missed that one.
Okay.
That's why 5 ayes are better than 2.
Hmm.
All right. Well, we didn't get to. We didn't get to
We
the
have the
money.
link until 7:40, We can keep going. I think it's important that we at least look at the salary survey, where next Wednesday is probably our one of the last meetings.
Oh.
There's going to be a lot. So I would like to, at the next meeting, be able to present options based on what the personnel committee is recommending for a salary grid.
I cannot meet next Wednesday.
Right,
I had a prior commitment. Just so the committee's aware.
Also, we need to discuss the article items for town meeting.
It's a meeting on Marshall Park next Wednesday too.
And Monday is caucus.
How about if we meet at 5 before caucus?
We could do, I could do that. Yeah, not that but I have to be there a little bit early because I'm on the town caucus committee. I'd probably have to jump off at like 6:30 just to get over there by like 6:45, but definitely, I know I could. I don't know what everybody else's availability looks like.
We're talking Monday, the 14th.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, I could meet at 5.
I can meet at 5.
I can meet at 5.
Sue, it's up to you. Come on.
Hang on.
And Julie, I'm sorry, Julie, can you
Yep,
meet at
I
5?
can do it. I can do that.
Perfect.
Eric, we want to
Julie,
start looking at that grid now.
The grid that you put together, Julie, this is really excellent work. Thank you. It's a lot of work, I know.
Thank you.
You want to share that on the screen, Julie, to at least maybe talk about it a little bit, or as much time as we have?
Kind of walk us through and show us the categories and
I want to make sure that we discuss the warrant articles before we and tonight, and so we want to do that first and then do the salary grid
okay.
where I think it's shorter. So just want to make sure that we all agree there's going to be 3 items in the article, 3 articles. One is going to be for the SAP bylaw, the review the changes. The other one is going to be for the new positions that need to get added to the salary admin plan that we've approved throughout the year. And lastly, it's going to be the salary grids.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Would number 2 go first because they're going to be in the updated SAP plan? So would we do all the new employees because they would be in this now current plan?
Yeah, I just didn't say them in order.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was the order. I'm sorry.
No, just
Okay.
throwing them out there.
All right, perfect.
Yeah. And then personnel committees, well, for many committees, typically the chair need to know who the spokesperson is going to be to speak on the personnel committee's behalf of the finance committee as well as town meeting.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, now we can do the grid.
And Eric, as the vice chair, if you want me to share some of those with you, I'm happy to do that. That's totally up to you.
Hold on.
Now, will we have to quorum for town meeting? So if people make amendments on the floor, that the personnel committee would have to quorum those amendments to the SAP plan changes? Am I saying that right? I would believe it would quorum to us as a committee. So we just have to post the agenda. I
Is
just
that a
wanna-
question?
I don't-
I haven't gone through this yet. This is my first time going through the SAP bylaw update and salary grid, so I'm not sure what happened 3 years ago.
Okay. And it's my first time too being a member.
I think
so-
I think where Eric's gonna be the spokesperson, no. I think he's speaking on behalf of the committee.
No, what I'm saying, Julie, is during town meeting, anybody can stand up and say, I want to amend this article or what we changed or make an amendment to the change. And then we as a committee might have to quorum to say we recommend that change. That's what,
Not sure on that.
And just so the committee knows, I know I had said this, I think at our last meeting, we were chatting before, my niece is getting married on the 7th. So I'm typically at town meeting, but I will not be this year.
It's not on the 21st? The 7th?
Voting's on the 21st. The town election is the 21st, town meeting is the 7th.
Oh, thank you.
I will be there.
Hopefully we have a quorum if need be.
All right, good to move on?
Nope.
All right, so I'm trying to move our heads out of the way. There we go. All right, so you can see at the top here, the communities that provided us with data. We try to be consistent with the communities that we use and pull the same, with the exception of, say, fire or police, where the makeup of their department is not the same in every community. Some don't have full fire, some have only paramedics, so it's not quite different communities for them. But for the most part, it's the same. Some of the data that I received from Ashburnham, for example, they gave me actual rates rather than a pay range, which we couldn't use. We needed to look at what their range for that position is so we can compare our pay range. So using this error as example, grade 1 library page, this is the minimum and maximum for that position for that community. And then going down again, council on aging meal site manager, minimum, maximum, all the way down. And we did that through for each community. You can see the responses. Some I received 5, some I've received 1, so it depends how common of a position.
The library page there in AIR, this just seems really odd to have a minimum, the minimum is whatever, but the max is
I know.
what, 9 cents more? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
And
So
it
this
looks
is
like their starting positions minimum wage, like they're bringing
Mm-hmm.
everybody in at that 14.25.
So the Lunenburg
Yeah.
FY 22% difference to average, that's basically what percentage lower we are compared to the average?
correct for the minimum and then to the maximum. Yes.
And
So you're
from
looking
what
at $3.17 difference for
Yeah.
starting step 1. And you'll see that for the first few grades anyways, and then it kind of straightens out as you get to the top.
Well, it seemed like the ones that we were really maybe above the average were the ones that were there, some of our recent hires that we, essentially
In
the
terms of position,
town had to pay for experience and put them at a higher step because they were hard positions to fill.
right? So as you go through, I mean, everybody has this data so they can critique it. They get the median. So from here, based on the data that was collected, we would want to build, I don't know what you guys want to look at specifically. So we would want to build into our salary grid to make sure that we're competitive with other communities. And based on what you'd like to say, I've heard in the past, even from a year or 2 ago, that we want to start from minimum wage. So I understand that.
Yeah, I think, just starting, at grade 1, step 1 at minimum wage is gonna make every grade after that more competitive. Which is a
Yeah.
good thing. Like grade 1, step 1 right now is $11.10. Minimum wage is, $14.25. So if if we just start grade 1, step 1 at $14.25, everything, we're gonna get rid of some of that. Hopefully, every position becomes more competitive.
So I guess what I need instruction from the committee is how you want me to build the salary grids. I understand starting grade 1, step 1 at minimum wage. So start at $14.25. We previously talked about cutting down the grades to maybe 10 grades, 10 steps, 10 grades, 8 steps. Do we want to leave it as is and look at it as a whole? Taking into consideration the comparables. And keep 20 grades. I didn't put the other 20 on here because we don't have, I'm sorry, the other 2, we don't have any positions in 19 to 20. And 17, I removed that too. That's why it goes from 16 to 18.
Sue, did you have a comment?
Yeah, my concern is that if we have to have this done in a very short period before the select board meeting or the town meeting, I'm very fearful that trying to trim it down or cut the grids at this late hour would be very difficult to do. It is work that needs to be done, but I think it needs to be done carefully. And I have a concern that trying to change the entire grid in 10 days time or 2 weeks time is is not in anybody's best interest. So my question becomes, Julie, did you take a look at kind of what you felt as though that the salary market had changed? You know, what are people generally in these towns doing for pay adjustments to their grids? You know, I think we added what, 2.2% in the last 3 years. Did you look at that, any of that material?
That, from what I had seen come through, was all over the place. It wasn't, I mean, I have to look at these communities specifically, but some information was provided over time, and it ranged from 1% to 3%. So if
And
that's
what-
what you're talking.
And Julie, what does a current grid, what was it, 90 cents that it was, I thought there was a magic number that the current grid,
I think,
Ours goes up 2% each year.
each year.
yeah, and I
Right.
have 3% between steps, and I think it's like 9%, don't quote me, at 9% between grades. So last time we discussed this, if this helps at all, I was asked to combine some positions, so we would have a 10 grade comp plan.
Well, yes, we did look at that. We did look at that. We asked you to do that, and you presented it once to us about a year ago, but we never did any work to dig into it to see what might work.
Correct. So I think updating that with this information is not difficult. I think I could present that at the next meeting if that's something that the committee wanted to entertain. I think there's a couple of options that could be presented, whether it's keep it, keep the grid as is with 20 grades, or show it with 10 grades, 10 steps, 10 grades, 8 steps.
So when you present that, would you also be ready to present how we would streamline the employees into those new levels?
I think I have that. Yes, I think I could share
Okay,
that.
good.
I think. Yeah, I think I have what you're looking for.
Because if you have, 18 grids and you make it 10, then there's quite a number of employees that will have to then be blended.
Yes. And I would use the comp data that was received to assist in combining the grades.
And round up to the next level. I would go up, not down.
Yes, it's never down.
And can I ask
Julie, did
something?
you find that any of those positions, maybe the comparability of what the town used the position for? I noticed like on the library that we probably have 3 or 4 library levels, and some of the others didn't have 3 or 4 library levels. So the library person might do 2 or 3 different kinds of jobs in different towns. So some comparability questions about when the salaries were really kind of way out of whack, that my sense was that maybe it wasn't about anything other than their position does something different than our position.
Yeah, so on our plan, it references head clerk, which
Yep.
a lot of communities were using as the assistant or head account clerk, something like that. And I can't say that's apples to apples, so I didn't add that. I know our head account clerk isn't the same job duties as the assistant town accountant, which is in clerical union. That position, for example, something I didn't put in. There were some, it would say library assistant 1, 2, 3. I can't determine what their 1, 2 is equivalent to with ours. Is that our staff librarian is, they would have a library position, adult services. Well, ours is staff librarian, but that doesn't, so no, not all were comparable
Okay,
and not used, I should say.
then I think if you can present something for the next meeting on what it might look like, we'd certainly be interested in seeing that. Don't you think, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, because the alternative is what? Deal with it 3 years from now?
Well, the alternative would be that you start the new year, this coming year, and dig at it again to try to figure out a way. We'll still have to do some work after anyway, in order to place people in the right levels.
We have until March 31st for finance.
So Julie, what do you think the main, I mean, simplifying things is, I guess, generally looked at as favorable, but what do you think the main, is there a real benefit to, let's say, moving from 20 grades to 10, or what?
I would say, I mean, 20 is extreme. That's a crazy amount of grades. And a lot of these positions have the same daily duties to some extent. What that'll do by combining, let's just say, for example, let's just say we combine grades 1, 2, and 3, and we see that the average of that, to figure the average of the grades, but say we started at the, say the minimum of the average of grade 1 and extended it to the maximum of grade 3. That gives those positions much more, I'm gonna say, movability throughout the range. It gives them a higher end of a range, so they're not capped this quick and only receive it a COLA. So the steps, I should say, are much taken. What am I trying to say? It has a higher end,
Mhm.
so I feel that the range is much wider than what it is currently.
Yeah.
It is quite common in industry to band a couple of levels together when you're trying to do this, because they're so nearly like each other that it isn't as disruptive. So you could go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or like that. It's fairly common to do that when you're trying to create these improved grids.
As far as steps for different towns, do you think, like, I know our grades are kind of out of whack, or are 8 steps kind of common, or other number of steps more common?
Some, I didn't receive that data. I gave them a spreadsheet asking them to fill in, which looks very similar to this. So they just gave me their minimum and maximum. So I don't know how many steps was necessarily in their comp plan. I feel like 8 is pretty common. Oh, that's Mimi's.
Well, I guess I would ask you if you can, bring us something to consider that has, 10 grades and 8 steps, and see where the SAP positions would fit in on there.
And can I
I
ask
think
a-
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Eric. I thought you would stop. Can I ask a clarifying question? So back in February, the town manager presented to the Board of Selectmen. She had a presentation, and there was an impact of the 2% COLA. So for non-union employees, 6/30/22, which is us, they're looking at 2% COLAs for FY 23, 24, 20, all the way to 27. We got what that impact is of 2% COLA. So for our group here, I believe it's 14,163. police was 28, and clerical was 13,076. So is this saying that they would get their 2% COLA, and then whatever the difference is between, I'm moving from step 3 to 4, which we said is 90 cents, or the old one was approximately, so they'd be looking at 2.9% increase.
Yes, the COLA is separate than the step.
Okay, and they get both.
Currently, yes,
Okay,
and no plan to change unless you recommend.
They get both until they reach step 8. And then it's just COLA.
it's just the 2% year
Yep.
over year,
Yep.
which for most of these are department heads, that's kind of a low number. I think that's just I'm a department head and I wouldn't be happy with the 2% every year.
You're talking after step 8.
Well, even 2.9 as a department head year over year
I don't
isn't
know
something
what
that
the
I would be.
0.9 is because there's 3% between steps. So that would be.
Oh,
a
there is.
2%
That's what-
COLA.
That's what
just
I was
muted.
asking. So there's 3% between each step plus the 2% COLA. So in all
Correct.
actuality, they'd be getting a 5%.
Nancy can confirm that, but I believe that's what's happening now. I'm trying to pull it up.
If they have a 7/1 step date, yes. If it was a different step date, it would be, later in the year that they would get their 3%. So it wouldn't be a full 5% for the whole year.
Casey, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if the board was going to be taking into consideration the inflation rate being at a 40-year high right now at 7.5% when they came up with the COLA number for the next 3 years.
I'm thinking that's probably no, but just knowing how town governments work.
Actually, the federal government just said theirs and they said it 2.2 COLA. So the federal government's doing almost the same. It doesn't match to inflation.
And bargaining units contractually are locked in to their COLA, within their contracts. And I understand we're not talking about a bargaining unit, but we are sort of looking to consider equity between that, and that's something we've looked at. That's something we've been looking at recently. So that was just my thought regarding this.
So Joanna, what I have on screen shows the 3% between the steps and 9% between grades.
Thank you. That was what I was looking. So yeah, that it would be the 5% with the 2. And they get their step every year with their,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I didn't mean to do that. Come on. Calm down.
Just to time check, we're getting close to your time for your end of your meeting.
Yes, and I have a crazy kid over here, so.
Yep. All right, well, yeah, we are kind of running out of time. I guess the last thing on the agenda would be if there's any other public comment from public or the committee. All right, well, I guess I'd make a motion that we adjourn.
Barb has her hand up.
Okay, Barb,
Hi there. I just figured I'd put it out there that something to consider is that a lot of us department heads are at the top of our grades and get only the 2%. So, and like Case said, it's, cost of living, whatever the federal government determined, has got to be, I wish it was better defined as what we're all paying for the cost of living increases. But if you're at the top of the grade and I don't know, we'll see what the grids turn out, but without some kind of a help, it's not a lot. And we just appreciate your consideration.
anyone else? All right, anyone want a
I
second?
just want to confirm, is in the next meeting, March 14th at 5 o'clock?
Yes.
Thank you.
I so move to adjourn. I
Second.
second the motion.
All in favor, Sue?
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Donna,
Aye.
and Eric's and I.
Oh, John is still with us. Oh, good.
Yeah, I
Oh.
said I turned off everything I could, turned off my video. My last resort was gonna be to call in with my phone.
Well, I'm glad you stayed, Donna.
Excellent.
All right.
I'm glad
thank
you let me know.
Everybody have a good night. We'll see you next Monday.
See ya.
Good night. Yeah.
Bye-bye, thank you.